Well, I'm hoping. I don't know. Am I hoping that Goblins loses? No, I don't think I am. I'm hoping that our format continues to remain diverse, is what I will say. As we're about to watch Goblins right now of the Rakdos variety, it's Rakdos everywhere here. Blood Grip fans, shout out to you.
This is even a Mori deck.
Say it again?
This is a new Mori deck.
It is?
Look down in Sarap's little companion zone.
Oh, I need to expand my Skype window. Ooh, all right. Sometimes I forget that companion exists. I actually really like that companion. I hope that it gets to see a little more play. I think the rule change makes it significantly worse, but the deck building restriction was an interesting one. So we have Rakdos Goblins as opposed to Mono Red. Skirk Prospector is going to be in both versions of Goblins because it's busted as we get ready here for our final match of the Swiss. It is Stitcher Supplier versus Skirk Prospector. Both awesome one-drops. And now we're going to head to the third turn of this game here in just a moment. Let's cycle a Canyon Sleuth first, shall we? Mystery card coming. It's a conspicuous Snoop Doggy Dog. And here is the Snoop. Oh, Moxus on top. That's a good card. Is there a Muxus in your throat?
I got some Muxus in my my what's it? It's
that happens to the best of us. That's gonna be a cool card to see next turn. Jake
Muxus over there, just maybe clearing out.
Jake Fling is gonna be in some real trouble. I mean, I know you talked about this a little bit with Dom and also myself in our last match that we covered, but the appeal of this deck is you're gonna see Citrus Supplier be sacrificed to Village Rites, draw a couple of cards, is that you can play a normal game or you can play a Oops I Win turn 3 Muxus game. And that gives you a lot of flexibility in what you can do.
Right, there's a point where we always like to joke about mediocre beatdown plans that a lot of these Bowie decks have, like the graveyard decks, like the old Rally of the Ancestors standard deck, or even the company Birthing Pod Modern. The beatdown plan is not that bad and will just kill you if you don't check it. The issue is that cards like Muxus are so resistant to the sweeper or the spot removal plans that are usually so good against these beatdown decks that it just gives the Goblins deck a completely different angle of attack.
Yeah, one that we've really never seen before. I mean, I remember the days of Goblins top end just being a Siege Game Commander, if I want to really date myself, an Onslaught block, Click Slither. But we have like that card all rolled into one, so that's and tutorable via Goblin Matron. So here's Groxa. And we are going to see it trigger and force a discard. Well, you're doing well if you're discarding Krenko.
Do you think Fling feels good or bad about that?
Collateral damage is going to take care of Conspicuous Snoop. Muxus is the draw. Land is the play. And let's sack them all.
This is why we saw Sarap keep the land.
Yep. All right, trigger. How do we do?
Great.
We did good.
I would just like to say how great would a Torch Courier have been there.
All right, so Torch Courier. Remind me, you can sacrifice this to give a creature haste, is that correct?
Yep, and it's just a Raging Goblin otherwise.
Okay. That's a nice little tutor target. Okay, well, you can have that one, but you can't have any of my good ones, so that's fine. Conspicuous Snoop. Coming on in.
Glancing over the deck list, I don't really see any shocks or anything here. There might even be a point where you just get to block if you want. I guess you're at a high enough life total. Who cares? Just make them do something to sacrifice it.
Yeah. I mean, if you do have access to the deck list, you can scope it out, right? And see what's going on. Okay, good block. Good block. There's a Village Rites. A couple of cards coming. Mountain and looks like Dreaded Arcanist and this Rakdos Pyromancer deck, Dom and I have talked about this in the matches we've covered. The graveyard is an extension of your hand, and it feels like you have like 6 or 7 cards in your hand the entire game, blah, blah, blah. If you can't beat what's going on the battlefield, none of that matters, right?
Yeah, and we're about to reach the fail state for Rakdos Pyromancer, and that is Krenko Mob Boss gets tapped. Right? There just aren't sweepers in the main deck of this Rakdos Pyromancer deck. So this almost feels like a Lingering Souls against Jund, right? Where Carl just gets 4 1/1 tokens, and every single one of those is going to take a full piece of cardboard to be dealt with.
Well, cue up that wily goblin. Come on.
Yeah,
Send
do
it
you
in.
sacrifice Wily Goblin to deal 11 damage
Yeah.
here? It's the best Mog Fanatic in the world.
Yeah, send that little fella in there. We're gonna play it a little safe, and then we're gonna hit. I can't say right click concede anymore. I have to say escape button concede.
I think
It's
we can.
different.
I'm gonna say right click concede.
All right, fine. We can say right click concede.
We're children of Moto. It'll be fine. We'll catch everyone else up. We'll explain it every time. It fills dead air. It's just perfect.
Carl Sarap is going to win game number 1 there over Jake Fling. Rakdos Goblin starring Muxus Goblin Grandee taking care of Rakdos Pyromancer. If you would like to save on the shirt that I'm wearing, the Taco Bell Live Meebo shirt, along with the Mana Flood, or any of the Breaking Pack shirts like Draco Genius there from our friends over at Coalesce Apparel Design, you can head over to coalesceapparel.shop and save 10% at checkout when you use the gift code SCG. And this month, because Coalesce has broken 1,000 orders, everyone who does order in the month of September will be placed into a raffle to win a box of Zendikar Rising. So, save 10% at checkout and become eligible to win a box of Zendikar Rising, once again over at coalesceapparel.shop. Emma, you did mention that this matchup is one of the tougher ones here for Goblins, so what cards scare you from the Rakdos Pyromancer side if you are playing Goblins?
The scary cards are the recursive removal engine. So these are things like Dreadhorde Arcanist, Priest of Forgotten Gods. You can even see 2 copies of Witch's Vengeance coming in out of Jake Fling's sideboard. These are the most horrifying things to deal with because you want to get cards out of your hand, right? You don't want to be cold to Kroxa, cold to Thoughtseize, and so on. But you then get punished on the way back if you commit too far into something like Witch's Vengeance, and it just creates this awkward balance if you're in Carl's seat.
So if you're able to keep those things off the battlefield, winning should be pretty elementary. But I know the match that you and I covered a couple of rounds ago, we saw Autumn unfortunately lose to Rakdos Pyromancer just because they were able to get their engines online.
Exactly. Just Priest of Forgotten Gods just ran away with multiple games in a row because if you can check things like Krenko and there aren't Goblin Instigators in the list, then it's going to be difficult to actually just keep up with them getting to have their own copy of the Abyss every turn.
Well, these players are going to take a look at their hands, look what they're going to keep, and what better way to start a game of Magic than a Thoughtseize? Am I right?
Oh, there are several better ways. How do you feel about Canyon Slough as a turn 1 play?
I'm fine with Skirk Prospector, but no thanks.
All right. What are your opinions on Forgotten Cave? Put you on the spot.
My opinion is that it cycles for a red mana.
How do you feel about that 8th card Leyline of the Void?
I'm not big on anything going on here for Carl this game. I'm not big on literally a single thing that has happened so far. Forgotten Cave in a deck like this, if I'm being completely transparent and honest, I don't really see the benefits of splashing in Goblins at this point. I know that, you can play Call, and it's good with Chain Whirler, and you have access to Thoughtseize and stuff like that. I mean, the black cards are good, but I think the goods outweigh the bad. I mean, I don't want to play a card like Canyon Slough. I wouldn't play Forgotten Cave in a strategy like this in general because I just don't think you need it, honestly. So yeah, I think that's my stance.
Yeah, I think it's awkward to see Forgotten Cave and Dragon Skull Summit in the same hand.
That's a tough look. We sacked the Prospector to play a Prospector off the top of the deck. That's interesting.
And I imagine that's just Carl digging for untapped lands.
Okay. Yeah, and the 8th card Leyline is obviously a pain because you'd like to have it against this deck. Here's Claim. I am probably sacrificing that. There we go. You get nothing and you like it.
Well, I mean, let's just turn this Claim into a shock. Is that bad?
Yeah. There's better. I guess you could just cycle this Forgotten Cave. I'm trying to keep it positive.
I'm positive my favorite place for a Forgotten Cave is the graveyard.
Yeah. Goblin Chieftain in the grip now. We all knew that was coming. Oh no, Muxus. Well, we got something to work towards, so there is that.
Cycling your 4th land to draw your 6-drop is a brutal one.
I call that a tough watch. It's a tough hang. It's not my favorite. That's for darn sure. Well, the fear here, as we've mentioned, is once this Rakdos Pyromancer deck is able to get its engines online, be it Dreadheart Arcanist, Young Pyromancer, or just being able to overall interact. I mean, you've got the Witch's Vengeance in the hand that you don't even need to cast yet, but you've got it in the holster. Bedevil as well. It feels like this is when this deck is kind of at its best. Croxa coming down. I think you got a pretty easy one to discard here in the ley line. That's what I think personally. We'll see which route Carl wants to go here with the discard. Oof.
Interesting.
Oh.
So that communicates that Carl really wants to just cast this ley line of the void next turn.
Yeah. Yep. How about a Muxus?
Close.
Well, if we're going to sack this for a Prospector, yeah, then if we're doing that, we're really in on casting Leyline. I don't know how I feel about that.
Man, I don't feel that bad about it. Okay,
No?
So Jake's deck has 0 ways to get this off the battlefield. You have to catch up with this Young Pyromancer, which is not the easiest thing to do. But it just turns off so many of Jake's synergies. Okay.
Well, here's Thoughtseize off the top. That's going to take the Goblin Chieftain. Well, the way, and now Lurrus is going to be added to the grip. So the way I kind of look at this, okay, it's not the best start. That's not the best start only because we can see Jake's hand. If I was in Carl's spot, I'd probably feel decent about that draw step.
Phyrexian Tower off the top would cast a Muxus.
That is true. That ain't happening, but you are speaking in facts. Collateral damage. Kapow! And make a token. Nice. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's basically lethal next turn. Snoop Doggy Dog. Snoop Gobby Gob. Ain't gonna do enough here this game. So from the texture of this game, if I'm sitting in Carl's seat, the thing that's standing out to me is, okay, my opponent has overloaded on removal. And is there anything that I can do about that for game number 3? Do you feel like there's any change you can make when you've seen your opponent has a Bedevil, collateral damages, abrades, all this stuff? Does anything jump out to you? Is it just kind of, try to play a normal game?
So my read on that game in particular is that it felt like Carl leaned a little bit too hard into trying to be explosive and then struggling a bit to find the identity between wanting to play a longer grindy game versus wanting to try and just crank stuff out ahead of time. We saw a heavy emphasis placed on cards like Skirk, Prospector, and then also cycling lands for more gas, but then also missing land drops and having to cycle Skirk, Prospector to just cast 4 drops. So I feel like going into this game, Carl would really do much better if he could just hone in on whether you want to be the aggressor or if you want to play for a longer, grindier game where Muxus just goes over the top of your opponent.
Well, how do we feel about this opener? Prospector, 2 Chain Whirlers, Krenko, and Muxus. Only
what
2
we in
lands.
the biz call a keep lose.
Okay, yeah, one of my favorites. No, well.
Think you have to keep this, but it's not really something you're particularly excited about keeping.
Yeah, because you're just hoping to run her off lands, right? Oh, boy. Well, you know what? Take my Chain Whirler, I have another Chain Whirler. Take that, Thoughtseize, human.
Bright side, there are 25 lands in Carl's deck, so drawing more of them is not that tall of an order here.
That's the number I like to hear you say. 25. Any aggro deck I'm playing, ideally 25.
Oh, Autumn and I were on the fence between 25 and 26.
Hell yeah. I love that sound.
Oh, Carl mousing over this Phyrexian Tower over and over and over because he knows we're talking about Goblin Chain Whirler.
I want to Krenko up. You want to Krenko up?
It's so brutal against the Abrade deck.
And Abrade actually just was the draw, too. All right, here's Claim. Well, we're sacking that, of course. All right, I mean, hey, you said 25 lands. Let's draw another one. All right, Snoop.
Well, it is going to let us draw a land next turn.
Yep. And it is the kind of card that you, as the opponent, they almost certainly want to kill. So that's probably where the Abrade's going, if I had to guess. Though, I suppose, because you've Thoughtseize your opponent and you've seen Krenko in their hand, you may just say, you know what, I'm going to save my Abrade for the Krenko that I know is coming because there's Dragon Skull Summit, and now there's a Spark Harvest.
So honestly, if Carl just draws 3 lands in a row, they're in great shape.
Yes, totally agree.
And this Dragon Skull Summit's the first one. We knew that was coming, so step 1, down.
All right, there's the Abray to take care of Krenko. Is it a land? Well, I don't mind a backup Krenko.
Yeah, no, Krenko's a good one. We take those every time.
Village Right's not what the doctor ordered. Can't claim that thing. Young Pyromancer is an answer. Don't have a land for Kroxa, so we got a live active Krenko, and that means that if we draw a land, we can Muxus.
Oh, and this could even end up in an awful situation for Jake if Jake goes Young Pyromancer and Village Rights away the Stitcher Supplier.
Oh, he's going to have
the Goblin
a bad time.
Chainwhirler in Carl's hand does not face up.
This is true. And you thought seized one and then lost the other one to a discard. So if I'm Jake, I'm probably working the assumption of, okay, well, you don't have another Goblin Chainwhirler. I've already taken care of 2 of your 4. So maybe the other card in your hand, the mystery card in your hand is like a Muxus or something. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's a Chainwhirler. Ooh, look at this. Look at this attack.
And look at this in the other direction. If Carl rips a land, activating Krenko gets them to Muxus.
Oh yeah, easy. Easy breezy.
Oh, there it is.
All right. Still in it. Timely Abrade. Ringleader. Okay, don't mind that.
Love Ringleader in this matchup.
Couple of Gobos. And Snoop and Warchief.
Attack. That was such a long pause. I was so scared, Cedric. I thought it might not happen, okay?
Can't get anything by Emma. You better attack.
I'm the person where my sisters would always go, Emma, you know the people in the TV can't hear you.
Well, I think maybe Carl did.
Oh, yeah, look.
Do you want to whip the chain?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get him dead. Kill him. Get him out the way. Attack for 2.
Yeah, I think I'm in a Chainwhirler. There's no reason to get, I guess I would say there's no reason to get greedy here. Just ice these things. Continue to build your battlefield with this Muxus endgame. Like this Muxus endgame inevitability.
They played Stitcher Supplier instead of a Thoughtseize last turn. How worried are you about this Muxus? And if they spend their next turn on a Thoughtseize, you have 3 other good ones in your hand, one of which gives all your stuff haste.
Yep, I'm with you. How's Goblin Warchief been for you? Because I know a lot of people lean towards Chieftain, and it's not 2004 anymore, so Goblin Warchief isn't busted, but still fine?
Board it out a lot.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to say that, actually. It's funny to look at that card now, and it's just like, I don't know, its power level is just not that high.
Yeah, the issue is that creatures have become more mana efficient, which means that the only good creatures with Goblin Warchief are the ones that come after it.
Yep, makes total sense. Well, this is a good one to come after it, or in this instance, before it. Muxus! Hello! You lose!
Hello!
Hello! Boy, my goodness. I'm going to be playing Historic Goblins after I'm done doing this tournament.
To quote the Animaniacs, hello, nurse.
I'm always here for a good Animaniacs quote. Yes, one of those spots. Yes, of course. Yes, my creature is dead. But first, Rico has haste. We get to make a treasure from our Wily Goblin, which means we can play our Skirt Prospector. And that means we can... Yeah, this game is over. Yeah.
Call it the Aristocrats.
Yes. This game is over! Here is the War Chief. That's going to give all the Knuckleheads haste. And Muxus is enormous, and we are donezo. Muxus is one hell of a magic card. Carl Sarap is going to win this game of match over Jake Fling, 2-0. Rakdos Pyromancer with Lurch was not able to get